All right, word problems. So up to this point, you've been given a system of equations and you just had to solve them and you're good to go. Well, now you're not even going to be given the system. You have to write the problem out based on the word problem and then solve it. So some of these are going to be pretty straightforward. Like these three examples, they aren't too difficult. You just need to remember back in the beginning of the year when we were doing verbal expressions, some of your key words when you're setting this up. So in example 1, we have the sum of two numbers is 36. Their difference is 6. Find the numbers. So when we think of the word sum, what do we think of? The word sum means that you're going to add. So what I'm going to do is I don't know what the two numbers are, so I'm just going to call them x and y. So I'm going to add x plus y, and it is 36. Then for my second equation, their difference. What does the word difference mean? Difference means to subtract. So their difference is 6. So instead of adding the two numbers, I'm going to subtract the two numbers. Find the numbers. So now here is my problem. I have to solve for x and y. And if we look, x and y are on the same side. This is in standard form. They're on the same side of the equal sign. So I'm actually going to use elimination for this. So I'm going to add the two equations. And then what do I get when I add the equations? The x's, I'll get 2x. The y's will cancel, and then 36 plus 6 is 42. And then what's x going to be? X will be 21. So that's one of the numbers. One of the numbers is 21. Now I need to find another number. So I'm going to use the first equation, just because. You can use the second equation if you want. And I'm going to plug in x. I'm going to plug in 21 for x. And what's y have to be then in order for this to work out? You subtract 21 from both sides. Y is 15. So my two numbers are 15 and 21. So let's do that again. Example 2. Okay. We have the sum of two numbers is 90. So right here, this first sentence, we have the word sum of two numbers is 90. So I'm going to add the numbers, set them equal to 90. Their difference is 18. So what does difference mean? Difference means subtraction, so I'm going to subtract them and set it equal to 18. Find the numbers. So this looks just like this one up here, except for it's not equal to 36 and 6. It's equal to 90 and 18. So we can do the same exact process. I'm going to add the two equations. And what do I get when I add the equations? I get 2x equals 108. So what's x? 54. And then I'm going to choose this first one, and I'm going to plug in x, and then what's y going to be? Y is going to be 46. So my two numbers are 54 and 46. All right, example 3 gets a little bit tricky, but not terrible. So we have the sum of two numbers is 22. Well, that's just like up here. Okay. The sum of two numbers, what does sum mean? Sum means to add, so the sum of two numbers is 22. Then it says the first number plus 2 times the second number is 37. So I'm going to take the first number, which is x, then plus 2 times the second number. So 2 times y is 37. So first number plus 2 times the second number is 37. Find the two numbers. Now what I'm going to do here, we still have standard form, so we have x and y on the same side. I'm going to use elimination, but the problem is I can't add the equations like I've been doing up here, because if I add them, x plus x is going to give me 2x, y plus 2y is going to give me 3y. So what I'm going to do instead is subtract them, because when I subtract them, x minus x, that will cancel. Now let's do y minus 2y. And 22 minus 37. What am I going to get? I get negative y equals negative 15. So what's y? Y is 15. And then I'm going to use the first equation just because it looks easier. Okay, I'm going to plug in y. And what's x going to be? x is 7, so my two numbers are 15 and 7. So these ones are pretty straightforward as long as you remember your keywords. But if we go to the next page, they get a little bit trickier. I'm not going to worry about solving these. I just want to write the system of equations. So we have Mr. Shesman gave a test worth 100 points containing 40 questions. There are 2-point problems and 4-point problems on the test. How many of each type of question are on the test? So what I'm going to do is, first of all, how many questions are there total on the test? There's 40 questions total, and we have two types of questions. We have 2-point problems, I'm going to call those X. We have 4-point problems, I'm going to call those Y. So the number of questions, the number of 2-point questions and the number of 4-point questions, those all add up to 40 questions. But when we talk about the points have to add up to 100. Now here's the thing. The questions that are worth 2 points are going to be, like every time you put a question on, that's 2 points. And every time you put a 4-point question on, that's another 4 points. So take a look at this next equation. I have 2 times, it's basically the value of the 2-point questions. The 2-point questions are worth 2 points, so 2x. Then the value of the 4-point questions, 4y. And that's going to equal 100 points. And then you could solve that system. You can use elimination, maybe double the first one to figure it out. But that's how you would set up your system of equations. Okay, so the first equation I wrote was just basically the number of questions. The second equation I wrote was about the value of each question. And kind of think of that going into number 3, or example 5. We have Justin Bieber spent $131 on shirts. Button-down shirts cost $28 and t-shirts cost $15. If he bought a total of 7 shirts, then the Biebs wants to know, baby, 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 how many of each type did I buy? So what types of shirts do we have in this problem? What are our 2 types of shirts? We have button-down shirts, which I'm going to have as X, and we have t-shirts, which are going to be Y. Now let's start with just how many shirts did he buy? How many shirts did the Biebs buy? Bought 7 shirts. So my first equation is just going to be the button-down shirts plus the t-shirts are going to be 7 shirts. Now my second equation is going to be about the value of the shirts. Okay, and we're going to deal with the $131 right here. So the button-down shirts, how much did the button-down shirts cost? They cost $28. So my second equation, I'm going to do 28x, and how much did the t-shirts cost? They cost 15. So my second equation is going to be 28x plus 15y, and then that equals the total amount he spent on the shirt. So the second equation was all about how much money he spent. And then you can solve that system of equations. You can maybe multiply the top one by 28 or 15 if you really want to, but all we need to do is just write the equation and set it up. So do the your turns. I just want you to set up the system of equations. Don't solve them. And then we will go over these next class.